Hey everybody, it's Liv and Raych. Just say hi, Raych.
Hi.
And welcome back to another episode of the Drag Reduction Sisters podcast. If you're new here, welcome. Today we'll be reviewing the first ever Miami Grand Prix. So exciting. Woo! Interesting weekend. First weekend in Miami. It's been quite the party, to say the least.
Been something.
It's been something.
It's been something.
I think something's the word. Between that huge party that was going on, when was that? Thursday,
Yeah.
I think. All the celebrities down at the track. I believe this Grand Prix was sold out. So it was the place to be.
I think so. I think both of the American Grand Prix for this year are sold out. I think.
It's taking over.
As it should. As it should.
What else was something? There were mermaids. There was fake water.
There were boats in the fake water.
People in pools.
Stadium.
There was a stadium. And there was a race.
Yeah, we've got a lot to talk about, I feel like.
We do have a lot to talk about. We were just chatting before we started recording the podcast, and I said, I feel like a lot happened not only in the race, but also in practice and qualifying. Like it was a pretty eventful weekend all around, probably because it's a new track and it was hard to anticipate what was going to happen, which brings up a lot of drama and a lot of some things. Definitely didn't anticipate those mermaids though. So.
The mermaids are the thing that threw everybody.
Honestly, yeah. If anything threw me off, it was the mermaids.
They just were there, and nobody was expecting that.
Yeah. But that's what you get when you race in Miami.
I guess so. I mean, you don't think you're gonna go to an F1 race and find mermaids.
Absolutely.
Not even in Australia.
So on that note, why don't we jump right in to our DRS segment? So this is the segment of the podcast where we break down the race weekend into 3 different segments. D stands for drama, R stands for results, and S is something beginning with S. It changes every weekend depending on what we found shocking or surprising or interesting. So we'll get to that later. But why don't we start with the drama?
Where do we even start with the drama? I think there was so much drama before we even got to like practice 1.
Mm-hmm.
With Lewis and his jewelry, Seb in his underwear.
Yes.
And then it just kind of snowballed from there, I think.
Yeah, that whole jewelry thing, like, and I saw a picture of Lewis wearing like 3 watches. I guess that was in protest to this ban on jewelry?
I think so. He said that he showed up to the press conference and I'm guessing has to be every single piece of jewelry he brought with him. And he said something along the lines of like, well, I don't think I could wear any more jewelry today. And so that's what makes me think that he just like put on every single thing he packed.
Yeah.
Layers of chains, all of his earrings, the watches. I think he had a ring on every finger too.
Oh gosh.
I respect him for making a stand. Like, I think jewelry is something like that. It's a very easy stand to take. Like, if you're gonna be like, well, look at all the jewelry I'm wearing. Like, it's very easy to like put it all on and have people notice.
Right.
I'm interested to see if he continues to wear his nose ring. I think he's been given 2 races to have it taken out. His earrings or his nose ring, something like that. One of them he has to have like surgically removed, I think.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I haven't seen anything like super clear on what it is, but
oh my gosh,
they've given him leeway and like 2 race weekends to have it out. So I'm not sure. And I do know that with like some nose rings and piercings, they'll put like special backs on them so that they don't fall out. So I'm not sure if that's what this is or if they're I don't know. I'm very unclear on it. I saw somebody say that they were like welded shut, his like earrings or his nose ring or something, and I'm like, I don't know.
Well, when you're driving a car at upwards of 300 kilometers an hour, I guess you don't want your earrings flying out of your ears. So maybe it makes sense that they're right in there.
Yeah, like you would think that you would want that to be the last thing you would worry about.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And I don't think he wears any like chains or rings when he's actually racing. I think it's just his earrings and his nose ring.
Mm-hmm. I guess that makes sense.
I think he also takes off, like, his ponytail holder or whatever. I don't think he races with that on his wrist. Because I've seen, like, Angela give it to him after the race.
Angela.
Yeah.
We love her.
Yeah. So, I don't know. I think it's literally just his earrings and his nose ring.
In terms of on-track drama, so we know that this is the first year that Miami has hosted a GP, and it's a new track. Nobody's driven here before. So it was interesting to see how people were navigating through the track and the challenges it caused. I know that a lot of commentators on F1 TV were mentioning how it's a very demanding track. I mean, demanding in the sense that it does seem difficult to drive. Like, there's a lot of complicated turns and things like that. We saw a lot of people going off or having issues finding out where they were going to brake and things like that, but also demanding in the sense that you're driving on a track for the first time and you're trying to find where the limits are, understand how you need to adapt. So yeah, I mean, lots of drivers also trying to push the limit. I mean, especially in something like qualifying, where you've only had that little bit of time in practice. I mean, between the 3 practices to try to learn the track and also get comfortable in your car before you start the race weekend. But then in qualifying, I mean, you're still kind of trying to learn the track, but you're also trying to push the limits at the same time. So really, how much are you willing to risk? Do you risk pushing the limit and possibly going off and having a crash like we have seen even in practice? Or do you kind of hold back and keep a clean run and hope that you don't have any issues and you can just get through qualifying with a decent time?
I don't know. I guess it's just going to depend on the driver and where they go for it. I feel like after Carlos crashed, he was much more, I don't know, maybe hesitant the rest of the weekend, and he was a little bit more careful. But I also don't know if that's because he was feeling like learning the track a little bit better, or if it was just because, like, after his crash, he was like, oh, I'm going to pull back. I think that's the thing about being on a new track that really kind of puts you at a disadvantage from our point, trying to watch and figure out what they're doing, because you can't compare their performance on track to a previous year.
Right.
So you can't be like, oh, no, he's pushing the limit. Like, I don't know, is he? Or was he just, like, trying to learn it in practice and it didn't go well? And so he's like, oh, got to course correct now.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. The other thing I was getting about this track is I was kind of feeling like it was a Jeddah 2.0. Yes. Lots of concrete barriers and tight corners, especially I think it's turn 16. So after that really tight 14-15 chicane, there's that wall with the yellow banner that a lot of cars were getting really close to.
Yeah. That was making me very nervous.
Right? I was like, this is Jeddah, someone's gonna crash. I don't think anyone did end up crashing into that wall, which was extremely surprising because I thought for sure the placement of that wall was just, it was a problem. So many people were brushing up against it. I'm like, something bad is gonna happen here.
I guess after that chicane, it really, like, once you get through the chicane, it's really not as bad as it looks to us. I guess it's gotten
maybe
better for them.
Yeah.
But that one chicane, I got nervous every time somebody went through it.
Me too.
Like, I was like, oh, please stop. I was like, can we maybe just avoid this? Is there another route around the track? And I was like, knowing that there's not, that they have to go through it. I'm like, oh, okay.
Mm-hmm. Well, there was that one, I think it was during practice 3, where Max almost went into the wall at that exact chicane, and he slammed on the brakes and just had a near miss.
That was scary to watch. I was hoping and praying that nobody was right behind him, because if they were, that would have been so bad for everybody involved.
Right, and it was right on a corner, so if somebody was coming around that corner and didn't see him, that would have ended up badly. And he was sideways too, so he would have gotten hit from the side.
That chicane, I don't know. I have a lot of questions about it in general. It's
not our favorite.
It is not. I guess the one thing that I don't understand about it was that after his crash, Carlos asked the FIA to put the tech pro barriers in place, and they said no. And I guess I just don't understand why they would say no if a driver is advocating for a safety measure to be implemented, especially after they've crashed. And it's been a big crash. I think he had like some injuries to his like wrist, I think.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and then Esteban crashed in the same exact spot, and I think he like bruised his knee afterwards. And so I'm like, you have two drivers who crashed in the same spot. The first one asked you to put a safety measure in place. Why wouldn't you then turn around and put it in place for the race?
Yeah. Hopefully now that two drivers crashed in the same spot, maybe if Miami comes back next year, we'll see some better barriers in that section.
Hope so. Or maybe they'll rework the track. Who knows?
Maybe. It did seem pretty tight from what I could see. I mean, they did shove it in a place where an F1 track really shouldn't be.
Yeah.
So they were already squeezing it in there. They did their best, but did they really? We don't know.
I think they worked with what they had, but honestly...
They did. They tried.
I think you're at a disadvantage when you decide to build a track in the middle of a parking lot. But I guess that's just my personal thoughts on it. I don't know. Like, maybe don't do that. Clearly, I'm not the one designing these tracks.
So speaking of going in circles, let's talk about race drama and the circles around the, what do they call that? The Miami... What's that sports place called?
The Hard Rock
Rock Stadium? Jeez. Let's talk about racing circles around Hard Rock Stadium.
Yes, race drama. I think the first thing, like in terms of race drama, was the Aston starting from the pit lane.
Yes.
I turned on the grid walk and they were like, "Oh, the Astons aren't here." And I was like, "Where are they?" And after me asking just the void for like the 5th time, I finally got the answer of them having like fuel temperature problems, which I have questions about that. Apparently it was too cold, and so they had to take it out of the car.
Oh my gosh.
And warm it up, or just put new fuel in the car, and they had to do that out of the time frame, so they had to start from the pit lane.
I'll be honest, when you said warm it up, I was picturing them like putting a cup of fuel like in a microwave and then like putting it back in the car.
Well, no, that's not stupid, but because
how would you warm it up?
I think the question is, how did it get too cool?
I didn't know fuel had a temperature, to be honest.
I don't think I ever thought about it. And like, it was so hot there. How did it get so cold?
Everything else was like on fire, literally, in the case of Max's brakes.
Yeah. I also did not ever think that they would have to like have their fuel at a certain temperature when they started the race. That thought never occurred to me. Now I'm worried about like the fuel in my actual car.
You've got to take it out and put it in the microwave before you go to work.
I gotta microwave. I've got to microwave my gas. Or I mean, I guess maybe it's just, that's silly, but that's probably just their cars and them being so like sensitive to everything. But I don't know.
Maybe, yeah.
That one was a weird one. I was like, what is going on here?
The fuel was too cold and Max's brakes were too hot. Max's brakes were on fire during free practice. It's interesting that Max had quite a few issues during practice. So he had his brakes on fire during, I don't remember which practice that was. And I think Checo also had some issues with his car during practice. Max also had steering issues during practice. Like there was a point where he just could not steer anymore. But then in the race, like he finished P1 in the race. How did that happen? He didn't really seem to have any issues with the car during the race that I can remember. So the fact that Red Bull really turned that around and like has been turning it around, considering how many reliability issues they've been having in races thus far, it's impressive, and it's good that they're pulling it together.
It is impressive. It seemed like very like one extreme to the other. Like either the Red Bull is like all over the place, or it's on fire as in doing well. It's either literally on fire or it's on fire figuratively. I don't know. Checo's sensor issues during the race were so weird to me, because he's like, something's wrong, and they're like, no, it's fine, and he's like, no, something is wrong, I'm losing power, and then they're like, oh, it's fine, keep going, and he's like, okay, I'm sorry, what? I was watching that whole exchange and I was like, are they just gonna keep telling him everything is fine when it's not? Or are they
that was weird.
Are they just saying that so he'll keep going?
It's like, who do you believe? Do you believe the driver or do you believe the guys in the pit lane? Like, are they seeing different data or what's going on?
I'm inclined to believe the driver. Like, if they're
Yeah.
on the radio screaming that something's wrong, I'm gonna guess that something is wrong.
Oh, yeah, I would agree.
But then again, I have noticed that, like, in the instances where something has been wrong with Max's car, i.e., the brakes on fire, he's normally pretty good about being like, I smell something burning. And they're like,
Yeah.
oh. He's
He
normally
reports
like,
it right away.
yeah. He's like on top of it. He's like, something is wrong. And I don't know. I guess they believe him more than. I don't know.
They gaslight Checo.
I'm not going to finish that sentence. I don't think they gaslight him necessarily, but it was getting close for a minute there today.
FIA is throwing out like warnings.
Yeah.
Warnings, penalties left and right.
There have been several black and white flags. There were several today that I noticed. One for Fernando. Lance got another one for weaving. This is not the first race that he's gotten one for weaving.
Not his first offense.
How many black and white flags do you have to get before they're like, this is your final black and white flag?
I don't know. But 2 seems like a lot.
2 does seem like a lot, and it's clearly it's not an isolated incident. Like, you keep weaving. Why?
Look out, Lance. You better check those mirrors because the FIA is coming to get you.
I want to know why he's doing it because I would like him to stop. Speaking of Lance, though, I feel like we need to talk about him and his battles with his Canadian brethren.
Because that was interesting. Lance was fighting for it today.
He was. Him and Nikki were going at it for quite a while there. I kept seeing their names like switch and flip-flop back and forth. I don't know what was up with him. And Lance also had that incident with Kevin, right?
Yeah, at the end.
Lance, what's up, bud? You want to tell me?
He's just mad.
I mean, I would be mad if I had to start from the pit lane, wouldn't you?
Yeah, maybe that was it. It just set him off.
At Lance, if you would like to let us know, please hit up my DMs. They'll be open for you.
Yeah, we'll help you out. If you just want to chat, if you just need to vent, just let us know.
Yeah,
it's not a problem.
Yeah, we've got plenty that we can talk about. You can tell me about your puppy.
Speaking of other unreliable cars, we had 5 DNFs this race. 5. They were just coming left and right. First of all, Zhou barely even got into the race. I swear, I turned on the TV to start watching the race and already Zhou was out. I'm like, nothing even happened yet. Did he even get around the track once? I just saw him right in the garage. So, I don't know what happened. Car issues?
Yeah, I think it was car issues. I don't know what, though. It was very vague, like, watching it. It was like, oh, you gotta stop the car. And he's like, what? And then he was just out. So I'm like, okay, but what's wrong with his car?
Mm-hmm. It's too bad. I mean, I feel like, well, it is his first season. He has been doing okay so far. I mean, it sucks for anyone to have a DNF, but especially when it's your first season, getting used to the car, like, you really need to spend as much time in that car as you can. Yes. But things happen.
I mean, this was only, what, the 5th race? He's got plenty of time. Yeah, it was only the 5th race. Yeah. He's got plenty of time to settle in. I think he's doing a good job, and I don't know.
He's doing good.
I wasn't watching Formula 1 when he was in F2.
Me neither.
And so I wasn't watching F2 either, and so I don't know how his performance in F2 is translating to F1. Mm-hmm. But he seems to be doing good.
Yeah. Good for him.
Yeah. He's reliable. I think his F today was definitely, I guess, surprising, but I guess the ones that were not surprising are the ones where you literally saw the car spin and you're like, oh, they're done.
Yes. Oh gosh. Which one do we start with?
I think we go in chronological order and start with Lando.
All right.
Poor baby.
Poor Lando.
I saw that and I was like, oh no. Oh no. And he just, like, his car started spinning and then it just kept spinning. Mm-hmm. And then the tire popped off, and I was like, oh my god. For a second, I thought Danny was going to run into the tire that was, like, rolling down the track. Because he was, like, coming around, and the tire was moving in and out. But he did not, thankfully. Not that helped him much.
Yeah. The
But
whole time I was just like trying to figure out how it happened because I don't really think Pierre was to blame because he didn't really have a lot of space to move over. So he was just following his own line. But like, well, actually, so Pierre did have some issues like coming into that corner. It looked like he was having some steering issues. So maybe he was trying to move over but couldn't. Or that's just the position he was keeping because he couldn't get any closer to the wall. But then Lando like really came in close to Pierre, so I kind of want to say it was Lando's fault, but it really wasn't clear.
I think it was like a case of wrong place, wrong time. Like, I think
Yeah,
if either one of them had, I guess, noticed where the other one was a little bit more, things could
right.
have been different. I don't think it was necessarily Pierre's fault, but I also don't necessarily think it was Lando's fault either. I think it was just
Yeah.
a racing incident, and
Just an
they
incident in the
just
race.
just an incident that just didn't have good outcomes for either of them.
Yeah, both of them retired.
Both of them retired.
And then we had the virtual safety car.
Yes.
And then we had Seb and Mick.
That one
Oh
particularly hurts my
man.
heart. Just them like
Yes.
running into each other. That
Big
one particularly
spin
hurt.
for Seb.
But those two will definitely be okay. Like, they're
Hmm.
going to like apologize to each other. They're gonna
Yes.
be
Oh my
fine. They're gonna
gosh.
be
Did you
buddy
hear
buddy.
Mick on the radio right after it happened?
Oh,
He
he
sounded
sounded
so
so
upset.
sad.
Oh my
So
God.
upset.
When he
I
came
was
on the
like,
radio, I thought he was crying. I'm like, oh my God, Mick.
like,
He
Mick, are
felt
you
so, you
okay?
could feel it in his voice. He felt terrible.
I know for a fact that the other one is the one that neither of them want to like impede or be
Absolutely.
racing with. Like, I think in Mick's head he's like, no, I'm not racing Seb, and I think in Seb's head he's like, no, I'm not racing Mick. And so they each
Absolutely.
just like exist in their own little bubbles and they're racing 18 other people except.
Yeah, it's a complicated relationship for sure. I mean, like Seb is a mentor to Mick, but he's also like I would say a friend, maybe even considered family, but you're competing with each other, so like you have to keep that in mind, but like you're saying, maybe they don't think of it that way.
Yeah, I think it was just a terrible, terrible luck for both of them.
Yeah. So Lando,
And that,
Pierre, Seb, Mick, and Joe all retired. Wait, no,
yeah.
Mick didn't retire. He
No,
didn't.
he didn't. He
No, I
didn't. But
forgot. My mistake.
he finished last, right? He was the last one.
Yes, he was. He
He
was
finished.
P15.
Yeah, he was after Nicholas Latifi.
Yes. Oh, poor
But the
Nikki. But you know what? At least Nikki wasn't last.
he wasn't
He
last.
wasn't
He
last.
wasn't
It
last. If
we'll consider that an improvement.
he wasn't last and he didn't crash. And
He
I
didn't
think
crash. That's right.
everybody needs to say good job, Nikki, because he
Good
did
job,
not
Nikki.
crash.
Canada's proud of you.
If the hill that I die on is supporting Nicholas Latifi, it's gonna be the hill that I die on.
Okay. I'll come and visit your hill
Yeah,
for
please do.
support.
But I guess we do have to talk about the other DNF, which I didn't even realize
Yeah.
that he DNF'd until 20 minutes ago. I mean, several hours after the race is K-Mag. I don't even know why why did he DNF? I don't know when he DNF'd. It was the last lap, right?
Yes, so allegedly, K-Mag and Stroll had a collision during the final lap of the race, but there was also news that he was given a 5-second time penalty for causing a collision with Lance. I don't know if that was the same collision. Either way, it was during the final lap, and then he retired right after that. So I didn't see it happen for sure. Like you said, we just found out about this 20 minutes ago.
I definitely did not see it happen. There was no like vibes on my radar that he was going to retire.
And I have to say, like, Haas was doing quite well for a majority of the race. At one point, Mick was in P9, I think,
He was
if I'm
P9.
remembering correctly.
He was so close to finishing in the points.
Yeah.
He was so close.
They
Just
were
a
doing
couple
really
more
well.
laps. Couple more laps and he would have done it, but no, not yet. It is not his turn to finish in the points.
It's too bad. But I'm loving seeing Haas do well. It's just, I don't know, it just makes me
Yes.
happy. I remember, like, getting into F1 after, not even after watching, but during the time that I was watching Drive to Survive. I'm pretty sure that I was thinking Haas was my favorite team just because I love Gunther. And like, I don't know, they have a really good morale as a team, I find as well. Like, I think he's a really great team boss in general and just like an awesome person and a great actor, I have to say. He's my favorite Netflix actor. I just really felt for them. And then when I started watching the races last year and seeing them finish like bottom of the list every single race, it just broke my heart. I'm like, I thought Haas was good, but this year they're bouncing back.
They're bouncing back. I'm so happy for them.
I'm so happy.
I really wanted them to do so well today with it being an American race and them being an American team. But I guess not.
Yeah.
There's another chance.
Yes, they definitely have something going on because they were doing quite well. So I see them continuing that trajectory.
Everybody wants them to do well, and nobody is going to be sad that if K-Mag or Mick were to win a race. Nobody is going to be upset.
Absolutely. They deserve it for sure. I can see a K-Mag podium coming soon enough.
I'm going to manifest it.
Get those candles out.
Next candle is a K-Mag win. I don't know. I gotta get my Carlos one to work first.
Oh, yes. Oh my god. Poor Carlos. He's had a lot of bad luck. Even just this weekend.
I guess this goes in drama, but like he hit his head the other day.
Yes, he did. He was bleeding.
Bleeding. I was like, oh god, Carlos, are you okay?
I was worried about that because I thought, okay, I don't know how hard the hit was, but the fact that he was bleeding, I was like, if he has a concussion, how is he going to race?
I'm sure it wasn't a concussion. I bet he just
it wasn't that bad.
Hit one of the pointy things on the
on
the fence. But I guess it was kind of after seeing him like hit his head and then today with the football helmet hat on. I guess hat in quotation marks, but like seeing the dichotomy of those two things happening on race weekend.
A couple days late.
Funny to me. So funny to me. It's like, couldn't you have given him this several days ago?
Yeah, what did you think of the football helmets?
I think they definitely picked the right race to have them, seeing as they were racing around the literal football stadium. But I think my thing with those is like the consistency. Like they just wore them to walk up on stage and then they took them off and put on their actual caps. I was like, but I guess it's a cool trophy for them, like quote unquote trophy for them to have and like
something memorable.
It's definitely a novelty. I don't know. Ideas for next year for any F1 teams listening. I think if you wanted to do like a fun promo thing, you would make your own football team helmets before the weekend and then have your drivers a flag football game.
Well, McLaren was like kind of going in that direction at Austin last year when they did the football jerseys.
Yes.
So I could totally see them doing that if they started with the jerseys last year.
Here's my pitch for Miami next year. Every team creates their own football helmet, and then a la the basketball free throw competition last year, they bring that back, but it's a flag football tournament between the drivers. I think it'd be really funny. And you put one driver from each team on the two teams, and then everybody plays together. I think it'd be great. I think it'd be really funny because I bet you a lot of them do not know how to play football. I can see Charles not knowing how football works. I love him.
He would try his best.
I love him, but I feel like he does not know how football works. But then again, he did get all of the answers right on that F1 Where Are These Teams challenge they put on their YouTube.
Oh, really? I didn't even watch that yet.
He got 100%. He was the only one who got them all right.
Wow, well done, Charles.
I'm very proud of him. He was first, and then Danny was second, and Nikki was third.
Danny and Nikki seem like the sportier types.
Yes, they definitely do. Yeah.
Charles.
He got them all right. I don't know how.
Oh my god. That's hilarious.
I can just imagine them telling him that, hey, we're going to do this challenge. He's like, okay. And then he studies, and he wins. Can't you?
Yeah.
Look at me.
He's a very studious boy. Have you seen him reading his notes before the races?
I have. It is the most adorable thing I've ever seen. I want him to keep doing it.
That alone, I mean, we all know he's a very hardworking driver, but the fact that he takes notes and then studies them before the race. Like, that's a very disciplined person right there.
It really is.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I've talked about it before, but I definitely think that his biggest competition is himself. And I love that because it's like he wants to do better for himself, not necessarily his team, but just to like beat his personal best. And I love that.
Yeah.
Or my favorite from this weekend when he was like, "This car is terrible," and then while he's setting his fastest lap, I'm like, Charles, what do you mean it's not good? You just got a fastest lap.
It reminds me of Australia. Can we go for the fastest lap? No, Charles, you already have the fastest lap. Okay, but okay.
And then he does it anyway.
A lot of battling we've seen between Max and Charles, but today there were some interesting battles, notably between Hamilton and former and current teammates. There was quite a long battle between Hamilton and Russell and Bottas, and I just thought it was so funny that he was fighting his current teammate and his former teammate at the same time.
It's like everybody wants to fight him, and I am ready to see them do it. I was kind of a little bit astonished when it was Valtteri, Lewis, George, I think, and then Valtteri just kind of like, it looked like he just moved out of the way, and the two Mercedes went around him. I was like, I don't think you meant to do that, but that was very interesting to me. I was like, what is he doing? And it took me
I think he went a little wide.
Yeah, it took me a second to realize that he just went wide, and they just like were like scooching around him. But
yeah, Bottas is another one who I love to see doing well up there. Like, he was in the top 5, I think, for quite a while.
Yeah, he was he finished P7, so he did great today. I'm really proud of him. I love seeing him in Alfa Romeo. I feel like he's doing a great job, and he's having a great time. And I think he's really flourishing with a longer contract. It's incredible to see how he switched from Mercedes to Alfa, and it's just like a light switch is flipped.
Especially, I mean, the difference in teams, but also between him and Lewis, like, poor Lewis is like, went from the highest of highs to now being in a mid-range position.
That will never not be funny to me.
It is
but
funny.
I guess it's just like the nature of F1 and regulation changes and stuff like that. Like, you never you can never truly count on where you're gonna be.
Yes, it's been such a mixed bag of results. I mean, aside from, we know, like, the two competitors at the moment, but everyone else, it's been such a mixed bag.
Yes. I think a good example of a mixed bag are the McLarens.
Yeah.
I kind of don't want to talk about them because they make me sad. But
okay.
I also feel like we do need to talk about them.
Yeah.
Because they started off the year not great. And then they had a couple of better races. I'm not going to say good. They had better races. And things were looking optimistic. And now, today, one DNF. I guess that's not really truly Lando's fault that he DNF'd. It's not the car's fault he DNF'd. It's just consequences. And then Danny in 13th. He was doing so good for a while there.
Yeah, honestly, I thought today was going to be the day. Like, we had, what was it, P5 and P6 a couple weeks ago. I thought today we were at least going to finish in the top 10, because for a while it was looking to go in that direction. And then, like, after Lando got knocked out, it seemed like Daniel was almost going to make it into at least P10, but then it turned around so fast.
It went so bad so quickly. It's fine. He tried his hardest. They tried their best. Maybe next week will be better.
I definitely think they're on an upward trend.
I hope so.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like they're moving backwards, at least in terms of the car. I mean, I haven't been paying close enough attention to their driving, but maybe Miami isn't really a good comparison since this is the first time they were here.
Yeah, and I do think a lot of people were like, oh, probably not going to be a good track for them because of the slow corners. And I think even, like, Zach Brown was like, it's probably not going to be a great week for us, but we're going to give it our all. And I was like, okay, thanks, boss. I'll keep that in mind.
That's all right. P13 is in P20, so it's okay.
Better. It is better, and I will pick better. Who else did well today? I guess we need to talk about both Alex and Esteban and their miraculous moves up the grid. Alex started P18 and he finished P9.
Yes. Alex is doing amazing. Honestly, like, just call me an Alex Albon fan because I've been loving watching him race so far this season.
He is so happy to be back, and I am so happy to have him back.
Yes, and I'm happy he's doing so well already.
Yes, and I do think part of it has to do with the red hair because he dyed it. He dyed it, and then it faded, and he started to do worse. And so he re-dyed it, and I think he said he's going to keep it as long as he does well. So
yeah, I mean, if it's working so far, why not?
It seems to be working. Keep it up, Alex. Keep the red hair. And then Esteban also had a really great race. He started from the back of the grid and he finished
after his crash.
Yes, after his crash because he didn't make quali.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, I almost forgot about that.
Yeah,
he missed the entire qualifying.
Yeah, and then he ended up P8.
Pretty good.
Good job, Esteban.
Another one I'm loving, who's doing really well, George Russell, Mr. George Russell, Mr. Mercedes. He has finished top 5 every single race so far. He's doing great. And he deserves it.
He does. He really does. He's doing great. I don't know what I thought he was going to do at Mercedes, but
me neither.
He's exceeding every expectation that I did or did not have.
Yeah, I mean, it was hard to understand why Mercedes chose him because he was in a Williams. We know that Williams hasn't really been the best car. So it was hard to kind of see the potential that they saw in him. And I was not expecting him to do this well. Like, sure, he's a great driver. I mean, I didn't really see it again because of the results that we saw. But, I mean, they were right. They were so right.
Yeah, they were. And I think a lot of that was because he advocated for himself. And he was like, Toto, hire me. And it worked. He girl boss, and I love that for him. And I guess I just didn't know how he would do in the Mercedes because I feel like you can't see somebody's full potential in the Williams.
Exactly.
Just because it's not the best of the best. So I guess I just didn't know what to expect when he came into Mercedes.
Yeah, I feel the same way. Yeah, he's clearly proving himself, and I think it's only going to get better from here.
I mean, look, here's the thing. Pierre Gasly is known for his P6 positions, right?
Yes.
I love a consistent driver because you can count on that. So if George keeps getting his P5, I feel like that's great. It shows you where he is.
Mm-hmm.
But I think he is going to win a race this year. I mean, he already had, a P2?
Oh, yeah, he did. Did
he?
Yeah. Oh, gosh. Right? I thought for sure, I think it was FP2. He qualified fastest during practice 2. I thought for sure we were going to see a George podium this weekend, but I think I was wishing a little bit too much. But he was close. He was close to a podium.
Yeah, he was. He wasn't that far off. I think by the middle of the season, we'll see a George win.
Yeah, I think so too.
And I'm ready for it.
And poor Lewis will be sitting in the garage crying. No, he won't. He won't. I feel like Lewis is probably proud of him too, because we all know that George was a Lewis fan. Like, you've seen the pictures of him, like, getting Lewis to, like, sign his Lewis Hamilton book. Yeah. So I feel like in some way Lewis is proud of him, even though he's being beaten by him every week.
Yeah, I think Lewis is probably definitely really proud of him, as he should be. I mean, I feel like you can't be the best team you can be if your drivers aren't proud of each other.
No, I don't think anyone's really enemies here.
Yeah, I mean, they're enemies, like,
competitively.
Yeah, but not within the team. I think that's good though. I like to see them be friendly.
Oh yeah.
Like when Danny and Lando are doing things together and are just laughing and giggling, like, it makes me so happy.
And wearing crop tops around the paddock.
Oh yeah.
How did we gloss over that? Oh my god. Can we add in a C for crop tops?
Yes, I think what it needs to go in is stupendous fashion sense.
Yes.
Because it's the best thing I've ever seen them wear.
This is what happens when you allow James Corden into the paddock. You get crop tops.
That man is a menace, but I love him for it.
He gave us that. At the very least, he gave us that.
Whoever gave them the idea of putting them in crop tops, though, can you please pass that off to the McLaren team so we can see it again in the future?
Oh my god, their whole team is going to wear crop tops.
And that would be funny. It would be funny.
I guess. Max won the race. It was a very tight battle right till the end, as we've seen Max and Charles, but Max won. Actually,
I guess we should probably keep going.
What's that? No, I was just going to mention the battles between Checo and Carlos were really close. I mean,
Yes, they were.
Checo was going for it. He almost stuck the P4 when he was trying to overtake Carlos, and he almost got it, but then he had that lock up and missed. But oh my god, Checo was... I don't remember who got driver of the day today, but I feel like it should have been Checo if it wasn't Checo.
I think it was Max.
Oh, Max?
I think it was Max.
Well, my driver of the day, I didn't vote, but my driver of the day would have been Checo. He was giving it his all.
I think Checo is really good at... I mean, obviously he's great at defending, but he's also really good at, like, fighting for position. I like seeing the Red Bulls and the Ferraris fight, though. I guess we also should probably talk about George and his little gamble to stay out on hards.
Yes, I was going to mention that. I was laughing because one of the commentators mentioned, I think it was after almost everyone had pitted except for George, and they were like, oh, he still hasn't pitted yet. And then somebody mentioned Alex in Australia going 57 laps, not pitting. I'm like, oh god, if we do this again, I will be shocked.
I'm not sure that George could do that.
I don't think so either, and it was just way too hot for that to be possible, but I thought, Can you imagine if that happened twice?
That would be so funny.
Oh my god.
So funny.
Unbelievable.
I definitely... Part of me loves it when they're like, oh yeah, I'm gonna wait for a safety car. But part of me also hates it that they're like counting on somebody to crash bad enough that they need a safety car.
Exactly. And honestly, for the longest time, I mean, we did see some crashes and near crashes during practice. But then in the race, it almost seemed like it wasn't too bad. Like, nobody crashed in the first corner. It was going really well for a long time. So I'm like, we're not going to see any crashes. And then we got the safety cars. So I'm like, okay, they clearly knew something was going to happen here.
I always get really suspicious when the drivers and the team and the engineers are on the radio are like, we're going to wait for a safety car. And it's like, everybody is doing fine.
I know. What did they know that we don't?
Yeah, like, what do you know that I don't know? Like, are you planning something? I mean, I guess he benefited from it this time. Like, he got what he wanted, and I love that for him.
Yes, and it wasn't Latifi. No offense.
It was not Latifi.
It wasn't Latifi crashing on purpose. No, I'm kidding. I'm totally kidding.
I'm going to keep defending him.
I'm going to defend him too. I mean, as a Canadian citizen, I will protect my Canadian drivers. So I will stand up for Latifi. As much as I talk about him crashing, I will defend him. I will. I'm
going to keep doing it just because, like, I don't know. I feel like with everybody being like, oh, ho, ho, Nikki's going to crash. I'm like, leave him alone. He's doing his best. Like,
he's just trying his best. He's trying his best not to crash. Come on.
Yeah. Like, let's not prey on his downfall. He needs to get his confidence back. Leave him alone. Leave him alone. I'm like that, the leave Brittany alone guy. Leave Brittany alone.
Yes. I mean, the fact that he didn't crash in Miami, I think, is pretty impressive in itself. Because so many other people did.
They did. They really did. And he didn't even finish last.
And he didn't finish last. Look at him go. Something beginning with S. I think we have quite a few S's this week.
There are so many S's. I think we need to talk about everything being so incredibly extra because I need to talk about the fake water. I need to talk about it.
Go off. Talk about the fake water.
I have no words. The fact that they screen printed
oh my god,
water onto plywood.
Yes.
What? Is it really that hard to build a pool for some boats to sit in?
And they did have pools.
You're telling me that you can't build a fake harbor that will hold water for these boats?
I don't even get what the point of that was. Like, were people sitting on those boats?
Yes, they were sitting on the boats watching their... Did you not see them during the race?
I did, but I was a little bit confused because I thought maybe that people like rented them out as seats to sit and watch the race, but then I thought like maybe not. That seems a little bit too extra. Like how like when you go to a beach and you could rent out like cabanas to sit in
Yeah.
like on resorts and stuff. I thought it was like that. So like they could rent a yacht to sit on and watch the race there, but it seemed kind of weird. But then I saw people like walking around, so maybe it was just a place to sit.
Could be wrong about this, but I'm gonna guess it was the people who owned the boats sitting on the
Maybe.
boats. But I also don't know how they chose the boats for. Like, I was getting very skeptical last week when the boats were still on their jacks, and I was like, wait, where's the water? And then come to find out, no water, just plywood. Just plywood that's fitted around these boats, which couldn't have been cheap to do.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you think it would have been cheap? I don't know. That's just me.
Yeah, it probably would have been cheaper to put actual water there.
Yeah, you would think. You would think. I just need them to fix it because the boats on the fake water is so funny to me. So you've got the real boats in fake water on one end of the spectrum, and then on the other end of the spectrum, you've got the mermaids in the actual
Yes.
water.
Oh my God. I think one of my S's has to be swimming because the fact that people were in their bathing suits swimming at a Grand Prix just made me laugh so hard. It's like what a concept.
Swimming and then swimming with the mermaids.
With the mermaids and Ted sitting with the mermaid. Ted
love
Kravitz.
that.
What a guy.
Here's the thing. I don't even understand how the mermaids scream Miami. I lived in Florida most of my life, and I wouldn't have told you that mermaids are associated with Miami. If you would have asked me to pick something that was associated with Miami, I would have told you Pitbull, which, by
Yeah.
the way, where was he?
Where was Pitbull? Literally every other celebrity on the planet was at this place, including Michelle Obama.
Where was Pitbull? Mr. 305 did not attend the Miami Grand Prix. Who didn't invite him? Did he just decline the invitation? Or was he invited or was he just not invited? I need to know. These are the questions that are going to haunt me for the rest of my life.
Maybe even Pitbull himself thought the Miami GP was too tacky, and he said, "Nope, I want real water."
I mean, do you blame him?
No. I mean, okay, well, I wouldn't go swimming in the pool either, but I want real water around the boats. Well, yeah, speaking of celebrities, should we go through the list?
Yes, let's go through our list of celebrities because there were
There were a
lot of them.
lot. We had Michelle Obama, David Beckham, James Corden, Francis the Train Guy, Tom Brady, Michael Jordan, the Williams sisters, Michael Douglas, Paris Hilton, DJ Khaled, which made me laugh out loud. Another one. We had Catherine Hahn,
Yeah.
Pharrell, we had Ashton Kutcher, George Lucas, Bad Bunny, and Lindsey Vonn. And no Pitbull.
And no Pitbull. I'm not even entirely sure that is a complete list of all of the celebrities.
Oh, definitely not. I'm sure there were more people poking around.
There were so many people. So many people. And I don't know if it's just like because it's Miami or if it's because it's an inaugural Grand Prix.
Yeah, it was just a big party. People were just getting there. They were getting there to like party with other people, and an F1 race was going on. Yeah, what are some of your S's?
The pit stops seem slow today. Even McLaren, who has been having like really great pit stops, their pit stop seems slow, specifically the one with Lando.
Was it Carlos who was having a stall or something in the pits?
Fernando had it
was Fernando.
Really long pit stop. Something about it today just felt off in the pits. Normally it's like really quick in and out, but today it was just like, geez, is everybody going so slow? And then obviously we had a safety car. That's always going to be one of the S's when it shows up.
Nobody complained about it today that I heard. Nobody complained that it was going too slow.
No, they didn't.
Maybe they're picking it up a bit.
Maybe. Well, I don't know. Maybe it's just like the nature of the track doesn't allow for them to go as fast behind the safety car. We'll see if they continue complaining about it in the future. Mm-hmm. It was not the Aston safety car today, though.
Yes, it was a Mercedes.
I like it when it's the pretty green one.
Oh yeah, that's the best one for sure.
Mm-hmm. But I'm glad we got a safety car. We needed a little break in there. Oh, and I will note with the safety cars, the lapped cars did get to unlap themselves.
Yes.
So I guess I'm glad the consistency is staying there.
They seem to be getting tighter on the regulations for sure, but that's probably a good thing. And I think maybe the reason it seems like shocking or surprising now is probably because before they weren't being consistent. And if the regulations are there, like, you've got to follow them. It's
Yeah.
only fair.
I do think this year, with more regulations being brought up, I feel like there's a little bit more, I guess, transparency with them because they're being talked about more.
For
And I don't
sure.
know if that's necessarily a good thing or a bad thing because I guess you would want a race to function in a way that everybody is on the same page and you shouldn't have to be like, oh, but the regulation says this. Like, I think we should all just function like we all know the regulations, but I guess it's going to
Right.
take time to get there when we're going back and making sure they're sticking to them. By the way, the special helmets this week were Chef's Kiss Perfect.
Oh, yeah. That's an S for sure. Special
It
helmets.
is.
They were
Yeah.
so creative. I
They were
loved
so
Lando's
good.
basketball helmet.
I love how Lando's looks like it had the texture of a basketball. I'm sure it
Yeah.
didn't. It looked like it would be bumpy. Wanted to feel it. That sounds bad. I wanted to.
No, but me too. Because I want to
It,
know if they actually painted that texture onto it or if it was just like the image of it. If it did have a texture, I'm just throwing this out there. If the helmet had a texture, would it help make him more aerodynamic? And could he have avoided the crash with Pierre? If his helmet was a little bit bumpy, would that make a difference?
That is a good question. I'm not sure. I know that their
Probably not.
helmets. Do their helmets really affect it all that much? I'm sure they do.
They do have like that little wedge piece on the back. It almost
That
looks like a little wing.
yeah, that like fits it into the. It's like where their head sits against the headrest
Yeah.
to like stop them.
Yeah, there's that. And then some of them also have little bumps, I don't know what you call them, on the front. At engineers, if Lando's helmet was a little bit bumpy, would he
Please
go
tell us.
faster?
I'm
Would
sure
it
he
change the
wouldn't.
aerodynamics?
These are the answers we need. Lando's basketball one, Danny's Ace Ventura themed one.
Mhm.
Mick had his special colors.
I also really liked Joe's retro neon colors. That one was really cool too.
Yes. His were good. Alex Albon's with the waves on the top.
Bottas had 3 helmets.
Yes! He had 3 helmets. Every time Tiffany designs a helmet for him, I absolutely love it. Somebody needs to hire her to professionally design helmets if she wants.
Yeah.
I know she's a very busy lady being an Olympian and her bike rides and all of that. If she wanted to be a helmet designer, I would hire her.
For sure. She could totally get a side gig going.
I mean, she essentially does with Valtteri and his helmets. Every helmet I've seen has been designed by Tiffany, and I love it.
They're all so great.
Are those all of the special helmets? Oh, Seb. Seb and his underwater. His was like the 2060 Miami Underwater Grand Prix, something like that. It was about like climate change.
Oh, very topical for Seb.
Yeah, very on brand for Seb. It was very good though. It had water and like a snorkel on it.
Oh, okay. I
Very
didn't
good.
see it.
I will have to show it to you. It was good.
Okay.
I liked his, but I think Danny's was my favorite. I don't know, something about the flowers.
Yeah, I like the flowers. It was fun.
It was very fun.
Well, how many races are there? 100? We have a lot to find out for sure.
It feels like it. It feels like we've been doing this forever.
I know. It feels like we're already halfway through the season and we're only like what? Up to race 5?
Yeah. There are like 23 races, I think. Barcelona's next, right? Not next week, but the week after.
Yes, we're going to Spain. I honestly don't know what to expect. Again, it's been such a mixed bag. I know I keep using the same phrase, but that's the only word I can think of to describe what's been happening so far. Everything's been so unpredictable.
I'm excited for it. I hope it all goes well because they use the same track that they use for testing.
For testing, that's right.
So they should all have experience driving on this track, including Joe.
That's a good point.
So I guess the only person who would not have experience driving on this track in this car is Danny, right? Like, it was the Barcelona testing he missed, right? Where did he miss testing?
No, wasn't it Barcelona?
I don't know.
Somebody wasn't there. I think it was Danny.
Yeah, it had to have been Barcelona. I love that we're just guessing on this and we could look it up.
Anyway, yes.
I think it was everybody.
Okay, so in that case, the good thing is everyone's driven the track, including Joe, who's new.
Oh wait, maybe K-Mag. Yeah, I think Kevin may have missed it because he wasn't hired again yet.
Let me rephrase that. Everyone has driven the track except maybe K-Mag, maybe.
In this car. Because K-Mag has driven the track before.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, I want to make one little note before we go. I would just like to note to everybody that I did tell you to predict rain. So I told you so.
Ooh, yeah, they were predicting rain. Yes, you're right.
There was rain, and I told you all. Nobody else was prepared, but I was. Thanks for listening, y'all. We're so glad to have you listening to the Drag Reduction Sisters podcast. We love having you here. If you enjoyed it, please feel free to leave us a 5-star review on Spotify if you want, if that's cool. You can also like us on YouTube and follow us on our socials. We're on Instagram, we're on TikTok, we're on Twitter. So thanks for listening. Thanks for hanging out with us.
We'll see you in Barcelona.
We'll see you in Barcelona.
Yeah. Bye. Bye. And we're out.
Cut.